Final Cut Pro has finally gotten a pretty big update. In fact, it's actually no longer called Final Cut Pro 10 anymore, and it's been officially updated to Final Cut Pro 11. And it feels like we've been on Final Cut Pro 10 for like 20 years. In fact, I actually had to look it up. It's been 13 years, but let's just jump right into these new features and improvements because there are a lot of really good ones. Obviously, AI is at the center of this, but these are actually really useful AI-powered features that I'm actually excited to use in my everyday workflow. So let's take the new magnetic mask feature, for example. This allows users to isolate people or objects in a clip really quickly, like no green screens, no rotoscoping needed. It's basically just a one-click or drag and drop feature, depending on the effect or whatever it is that you might be doing to that scene. So you can remove objects from the background if you want to, or what's more useful to me is that I can actually select and isolate a subject and then color grade or add an effect to that specific part of the clip and make it different than the rest. So for example, I shoot screens, an iPad, an iPhone, a TV, a Mac, and sometimes those screens, it's hard to tell on the tiny little camera that it's actually a little bit overexposed. We try to do our best, but at times it varies and it gets overexposed and you might not be able to read what's on the phone, for example. And so I can select that screen specifically and color grade just that, bring down the contrast, bring down the exposure, and that'll make it so that it's easier to read, but it doesn't change the rest of the scene, making it way too dark. And so it's just a really quick way to fix that. Obviously, there were other ways to do it, but this is really, really fast and really easy. And it auto tracks for you, and it's great. Now, we also got a new one-click transcribe to captions feature. It's something that I have been clamoring for quite some time. And while this feature seemingly works well and is a huge time saver, there's one thing that it doesn't do, and it's kind of a bummer, and it really just creates closed captions, meaning that it's just a simple black bar with white text. You can't edit the captions and make them look like fancy titles or animate the text differently, make them dynamic. The captions that you're used to seeing on TikTok or Instagram Reels. Now, there is, of course, a few different apps out there that can easily create these dynamic captions for us. It's the ones that we've been using for our social media, but it just kind of, is another thing in the workflow that we got to do. It would be easier to just do it all and then export the video, send it to mobile, and upload. But I'll take the captions. I'm not complaining by any means. It's just hopefully we get a little bit more of an iteration on that to make it more dynamic. These two features join some of the other newer ones that have been out for a bit, like Smart Conform, where you can turn a project that you've already completed into a social version, like a vertical or square format, and it'll automatically realign the clips for you, and it's great. I've used it a few times. I really like it. You have Enhanced Light and Color, which honestly just kind of uses AI to analyze the scene and then apply a quick color grade for you. And that has been useful too. And if you don't like some of the things that it did, you can just go in and adjust the sliders a little bit. And it's perfect for when you want a color grade, need to fix some things, but you don't have time to really spend, on the color grade itself. So it's good for in a quick pinch. Smooth slow-mo is a way to turn any clip into a super slow motion video, even if you didn't shoot it in a higher frame rate. So it generates the frames for you to kind of make up for what you don't have. And it works really well. There are other apps out there that are kind of dedicated to this that obviously work better, but I've been using it quite a bit over the last month or so, and I enjoy it. Lastly, one of the other features that Apple announced, I feel like it was a while ago, is voice isolation. And I use this on every single video. It is a game changer of a feature for me, and I cannot live without it. So every clip from this video has voice isolation applied, where it's isolating my voice from background noise, which in this studio is a lot of low humming that could be going on from the furnace. The vents above me are exposed. The next door restaurant here has a vent that I, for some reason, can hear parts of, and I can't control that. Usually I try to turn the other ones off if I can. There's an airport like 30 feet away from me, so you'll hear the planes coming in. Sometimes I can get rid of that, but other times I can't. And so, and again, these ceilings are really tall, so I can't dampen the sound a whole lot, and so you'll hear a lot of echo. So if I turn it off, this is what it sounds like. And right now you'll probably hear a lot of echoes, maybe some humming going on in the background. It's not great. Put headphones on to really get the full effect, but if I didn't have it on, it would be pretty annoying, more annoying than what it is, because again, it was really hard to properly sound treat this room. Apple has also introduced spatial video editing for Apple Vision Pro. Now, I could shoot an entire video with my iPhone in spatial mode and then export it out. so that some of you could watch it on your Vision Pro, but I don't know how to do that. I think I'd have to physically send it out. I don't think YouTube could do it. So yeah, this is more of like if you want to watch a home movie that you shot in spatial video for yourself on your Vision Pro. So I don't really know how useful this is going to be for some people out there, but would love to hear from you about that if you're going to be using that a lot in the comments down below. There are also a few effects that seem incredibly useful for content creators such as myself, and that's the new Callout and picture-in-picture effects. So picture-in-picture is pretty self-explanatory. You have one window on top of another, but you can easily create this and it animates on its own. There's a ton of different options to choose from. You can make it, a rectangle, you can make it a circle, you can do a ton of stuff. And so lots of things that you can change here. And so this entire time you've been watching my head in a little bubble here at the bottom of the display. And yeah, it works really, really well. It's a lot easier to do this than some of the other ways you'd have to do it if you didn't have a plugin. And I love having this as kind of like a drag and drop effect option. Now, the callout effect is also a great way to draw attention to a very specific spot of the video. Perfect for those of you who are doing tutorials on YouTube or any video where you just need to point out something on a screen and make it more engaging when you're doing that. There have also been a few other improvements to everyday editing tasks, workflow stuff. So for example, the magnetic timeline, you can now move clips easily up and down throughout just by using Option and then arrow up or arrow down. You can now set the entire timeline to not only be zoomed to fit like horizontally, but vertically if you have a lot of clips stacked on top of each other and you can't see the whole timeline. Shift Z would be the horizontal stretch, but Option Shift Z will give you that vertical fit as well for your entire timeline to be seen from top to bottom. There are tons of other minor tweaks, changes, and workflow improvements that were implemented in this update, and some of those might be more useful to others, so go ahead and check out, the Final Cut page or the release notes or whatever for all of that. Of course, Logic Pro got an update, Logic for iPad, Final Cut Camera, and Final Cut for iPad all got updates, so be sure to check those out as well. And of course, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this latest update. Was there a feature that you really wanted? For me, it was text-based editing, but was there a feature that you really wanted that you didn't get? Let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.